At age 73, the IRS is going to force money out of your retirement account, whether you want it or not. And if you haven't planned for it, that forced withdrawal could push you into a higher tax bracket, trigger a Medicare surcharge, and make 85% of your Social Security taxable all at once, every year for the rest of your life. There is a window to fix this, but most people don't know about it. And it closes the moment that RMDs start. I'm going to show you exactly how to use it. Here's the situation. Most pre-retirees are walking into it without realizing it. You've done everything right. You've maxed out your 401k for 30 years. You've got 700,000, maybe 800,000 or more sitting in a pre-tax account. And right now, in the years before you retire, that balance looks like success. But here's what the balance actually is. It's a deferred tax bill. Every dollar in that account has never been taxed. And the IRS has been patient. But at 73, they're done being patient. And here's what happens without a plan. You're 73, you say you have $800,000 in a traditional IRA. Your first required minimum distribution is roughly $30,000. You're also collecting Social Security, say that's $30,000 a year. That's $60,000 in income before you've decided to spend a single dollar. At those income levels, 85% of your Social Security becomes taxable. You may hit the Medicare premium surcharge. And if your IRA keeps growing, which it will if you don't spend it all, the RMD grows with it, every year compounding the problem. This is not a tax problem. This is a planning problem. And the people who solve it, they don't do it at 73. They do it now in the years before RMDs start. Quick note, if you want to see exactly what this looks like for your specific situation, I do a free retirement readiness review. 30 minutes, your actual numbers, no products, no pitch. The link is in the description. Now, 4 things you need to understand. Let's start with the basics because most people have a vague idea about RMDs, but don't understand the mechanics. A required minimum distribution is the IRS forcing you to take a minimum amount of money out of your pre-tax retirement accounts every year starting at age 73. Traditional IRA, 401k, 403b, any account that was funded with pre-tax dollars. The amount is calculated using your account balance at the end of the prior year divided by a life expectancy factor from the IRS Uniform Life Table. At age 73, that number is 26 and a half. So a $700,000 IRA generates an RMD of about $26,400. At 80, the divisor drops to 20.2. Same balance now generates $34,600. The older you get, the larger the forced withdrawal is. Here's the part most people miss. You cannot roll an RMD into a Roth. You cannot skip it. You cannot invest it back into an IRA. It comes out, it gets taxed as ordinary income, and you deal with the consequences of that income, whether you needed the money or not. The penalty for missing an RMD was reduced under the Secure Act from 50 to 25%, and further 10% if you correct it quickly. That's better than it was, but it's still an expensive mistake. The RMD problem isn't about the withdrawal itself. It's about the income it creates stacked on top of Social Security, stacked on top of whatever else you're pulling from your portfolio, and what that combined income does to your tax bracket and to your Medicare premiums. A Roth conversion is a deliberate act of moving money from a pre-tax account to a Roth IRA. You pay the income tax on whatever you convert in that year that you do it. And from that point forward, that money grows tax-free and comes out tax-free, including for your heirs. There's no income limit for Roth conversions. Anyone can do them at any age, and there's no limit on the amount. Although there is a practical limit based on your tax bracket that we'll get into in a moment. Here's why the window matters. The window I'm talking about is the period between when you retire and when the RMD start at 73, or 75 if you were born in 1960 or later. During this window, your income is often the lowest it has been since you were starting your career. You're not earning a salary, you may be delaying Social Security, your taxable income is temporarily low. That is the cheapest the tax on this money will ever be. Every dollar you convert during this window gets taxed at whatever rate applies now. Every dollar you don't convert stays in a pre-tax account, continues to grow, and eventually becomes a larger RMD taxed at whatever rate applies at 73 when you have less control over your income. The math on doing nothing is brutal. Suppose you have $600,000 in a traditional IRA and you do 0 Roth conversions. Assuming a 6% average growth over 10 years, that balance becomes roughly $1,074,000 by the time that RMDs start. Your first RMD is about $40,500. Add Social Security, and you're well into a territory where every dollar of planning you didn't do is now a dollar of forced income you're paying tax on. Suppose instead that you convert $40,000 a year for 10 years, so $400,000 total. The remaining pre-tax balance is roughly $373,000 at age 73. Your first RMD drops to about $14,000. The difference in annual forced income is $26,500, taxed at a potentially lower rate with less Medicare surcharge exposure and with significantly less impact on your Social Security taxability. This is where most people get confused. They think Roth conversions are all or nothing. Convert everything or convert nothing. That's not how it works, and it's not what you should do. The right approach is called bracket filling. You convert enough each year to bring your taxable income up, but not over to the top of your current bracket. You're essentially filling the bracket with conversion income at a known controlled rate rather than letting the IRS fill it for you with RMD income at an unknown, uncontrolled rate. The most common conversion target for the pre-retirees that I work with is filling the 22% tax bracket. Here's why. The standard deduction for married filing joint is $30,000, plus an additional $3,200 for each person over 65. So for a couple both over 65, the effective standard deduction is $36,400. That means you can have $136,800 in gross income before hitting the 22% ceiling. If your other income is low, Social Security, part-time work, brokerage distributions, they're all low. During the conversion window, the entire space up to $136,800 is potentially available for a conversion at a 12% or less. One critical rule: once you're on Medicare or within 2 years of enrolling, watch out for the IRMA thresholds. For 2026, married filing joint surcharges start at $212,000. And these thresholds are frozen through 2027, meaning they do not adjust for inflation. A conversion that pushes you over $212,000 triggers higher Medicare premiums for the following year. Planned around it, not past it. The goal isn't to minimize taxes this year. The goal is to minimize taxes over your lifetime. Sometimes paying a little more now is the right answer because it avoids a lot more later. If you're planning Roth conversions, you're going to wish you knew these 3 mistakes before you started. Mistake number 1, converting too much in a single year. The conversion amount stacks on top of all of your other income. If you convert, say, $200,000 in 1 year, thinking you're getting it over with, that $200,000 might push you into the 24 or even 32% tax bracket, erasing years of tax savings in a single calendar year. Slow and steady wins here. Consistent annual conversions are almost always better than one large conversion. Mistake number 2, ignoring the 2-year IRMA lookback. IRMA is based on your income from 2 years ago, so a large conversion in 2026 affects your Medicare premiums in 2028. Most people don't think that far ahead. Plan your conversion amounts with a 2-year horizon on your Medicare cost, especially if you're already enrolled or close to enrolling. Mistake number 3, converting after RMDs have already started. Once you're 73 and RMDs have begun, you cannot convert the RMD itself. You must take the RMD first, pay the tax on it, and then convert the additional amounts on top of that. This means that your income floor is higher during the conversion years in your 70s, which compresses the available bracket space. The planning leverage is dramatically greater before RMDs start, not after. There's one more thing worth knowing. Roth conversions are permanent. The Tax Cuts and Jobs Act eliminated the ability to undo a conversion. What used to be called a recharacterization, once you convert, the tax is owed for that year. That is not a reason to avoid conversions, it's just a reason to plan around them carefully. Unpopular opinion: the most expensive retirement decision most people make is doing nothing with their pre-tax IRA between retirement and 73. Not bad investing, not overspending, doing nothing. Let me show you exactly what the cost is. This is an illustrative example. The numbers are real, but the clients are not. Meet David and Carol. David is 62, Carol is 60. David just retired. He has $750,000 in a traditional IRA, no pension, no other pre-tax accounts. Carol is still working part-time, earning about $30,000 a year. Their combined Social Security at age 70 would be about $55,000. They're planning to live on $80,000 a year in retirement. Without a conversion strategy, they draw down their taxable brokerage account first, take Social Security at 65, and leave the IRA alone until RMDs start at 73. By 73, the IRA has grown to approximately $1.1 million at a 6% growth rate. The first RMD is $41,500. Add on Social Security of $55,000 a year, and that's $96,500 in income before any other withdrawals. At that level, 85% of their Social Security is taxable, and their effective income is roughly $143,000. After the standard deduction, they're at $106,900 in taxable income, solidly in the 22% tax bracket. And this compounds every year as RMDs grow. With a conversion strategy between the ages of 62 and 70, their lowest income windows, Carol's $30,000 a year salary is the primary income. They spend from the taxable brokerage account first. Into that low income environment, they convert $35,000 per year from the IRA to the Roth, staying in the 12% tax bracket. Over 8 years, that $280,000 converted at 12%. The remaining IRA balance at age 73 is approximately $690,000, generating a first RMD of about $26,000 instead of the $41,500 from the prior situation. Meaningfully less taxable, better IRMA positioning, and $330,000 sitting in a Roth IRA completely tax-free for late retirement flexibility and their heirs. The lifetime tax difference in this scenario is estimated at over $80,000. From the same starting balance, same Social Security, and the same spending level, the only variable was whether they used the conversion window. What I want you to take away from this video is simple. Your pre-tax retirement accounts is not just a balance, it's a deferred tax bill. And the question isn't whether you pay the tax, because you will pay it. The question is whether you pay it on your terms or the IRS's. Roth conversions let you pay it on your terms during the low income window at a bracket you control before RMDs start forcing you into an income that you didn't plan for. Everyone taught you how to save. Nobody taught you how to manage the tax on the way out. That's the gap. And that gap is where most of the planning value lives. If you want to know exactly what this looks like for your balance, your timeline, and your specific tax situation, I do a free retirement readiness review. 30 minutes, your actual numbers. No products, no pitch, just clarity. The link is in the description. Use it.